Audio Jungle.
Welcome to the J News. I am Serapong Soponsinan. Will be a reporter today. It can be said that it has become a hot topic at this time. When Mr. Sarayut Suttatana, as a famous news reporter, was sentenced to 6 years and 24 months without criminal record in jails. In the case of Raisom company, which is owned by Mr. Sarayut, defraud the excess advertising expense to MCOT Limited Company. Alright, I will return back to the beginning detail how the story happened. Raisom Company began since 2005 when MCOT entered into a contract to produce the program Talk to the News with Raisom Company, owned by Mr. Sarayut, by dividing the advertisement time together. In July 2006, Father Raisom Company sold the advertisement over the time according to the contract. Ms. Pichapa Bunto, a former MCOT employee who was responsible for posting advertisements, did not report the exiting time. Not only this, she also using the correcting fluid to remove the exiting time advertisement of Raisom Company during the period of 1 February 2005 until 15 July 2005. As a result, the total damage was more than 138 million baht. On October 29, 2007, MCOT reported to Hoi Kwang Police Station to prosecute with Mrs. Pichapa on suspicion of performing duty dishonestly, and also excused Mr. Sarayut, Mrs. Monta Tirade, who was the staff of Raisom, as a supporter. On September 20, 2012, National Anti-Corruption Commission or NCC expressed the offense of Mrs. Pichapa, a former MCOT employee, has a serious disciplinary offense and having a criminal offense, while Mr. Sarayut and Mrs. Monta have a criminal offense as a supporter to support a government employee. On 30th of January 2015, the Attorney General prosecuted to this case by Mrs. Pichapa, who was the first defendant. Raisom Company was the second defendant. Mr. Sarayut was the third defendant, and Mrs. Monta was the fourth defendant. On February 29, 2016, the Court of First Instance sentenced to Mrs. Pichapa to 6 offences for 5 counts, totaling of 30 years imprisonment, and a fine of Raisom Company totaling 120,000 baht, and also imprisonment to Mr. Sarayut and Mrs. Monta 20 years each. However, the attestation is useful for the consideration. As a result, the court reduced the penalty for the 4 defendants by 1/3 of punishment. Therefore, the adjustment of Raisom Company became a fine the amount of 80,000 baht. Mrs. Pichapa was imprisoned for 20 years, while Mr. Sarayut and Mrs. Monta imprisoned for 13 years and 4 months. After that, the petition to the Crown of the defendants fought that 6 checks totaling amount of 739 and 770 baht were paid to Ms. Pichapa. It's not the compensation for helping Raisom Company to advance over time, but it is a check that is paid as a coordination fee, which is calculated from advertising fee 2% per times. As a result, on 21st January 2020, the Supreme Court considered that the weight of the accused of the defendant are partially heard. Therefore, the Supreme Court reduced the sentence to imprisonment for Mrs. Pichapart, totaling 18 years, while the benefit reduced to one-third of punishment imprisoned to Mr. Soryut and Mrs. Monta, imprisonment being 6 years and 24 months, including a fine of Raisom company reduced to 72,000 baht. Alright everyone, this is our story for Raisom case. Then I will show you for the process of this case. How about their punishment and legal issue? Let's see together. It can be seen in this case that it had 4 main defendants which have guilty according to Section 6, Section 8 and Section 11 in a conjunction with Section 86 and 91 of Criminal Code. Okay, we will take a look at the first guilty in Section 6. In Section 6, it said that an employee who receives bribe will be punished by 5 to 20 years imprisonment, or whole life, or capital punishment, and a fine of 2,000 to 40,000 baht. The second section in Section 8 said that an employee who dishonestly exercise of authority punished by 5 to 20 years imprisonment, or whole life, or capital punishment, and a fine of 2,000 to 40,000 baht. And the last section in Section 11 said that an employee who wrongfully performed the task will be punished by 1 to 10 imprisonment, or a fine 2,000 to 20,000 baht, or both. Okay, I have already concluded the story about for this case. So I have a couple of things to talk about the legal knowledge in this case. The first thing is that why their punishment were reduced. The reason is because that because of their cooperation testimony. Then the court said that it is useful for the consideration. Additionally, Mr. Soryut and Mrs. Monta were not the government official. Then the court reduced the punishment by 1/3 of the total punishment. The second thing is that it is interesting to the people in the society that why the court say that their punishment is being 6 years and 24 months, which is equal to 8 years. The reason is because some law in Thai law they have punishment by a month, such a charge of 12 months is equal to 360 days, because 1 month is they calculate by 30 days in each month. Then the court consider the punishment by a month punishment.